Good evening, TeachMeet Woodham. My name's Mark Anderson and you can catch me on Twitter as @ICT Thank you to John Tate for asking me to talk tonight. I'd like to go through a few hints and tips on how you might use just one iPad in the classroom. Before I do that, I wanted to have a little chat about, firstly, about technology in the classroom though, because I think it's very important to understand that the technology is there to support the learning. It's not there as a replacement or anything like that. It can really enhance what we do in the classroom, but don't see it, please, I plead with you, as an ICT lesson or an iPad lesson. You know, the device or the technology is there to support the learning. And we can use these devices and technology in lots of ways to support learning. To that end, I'm going to go through some apps that will help you create resources in your classroom. We're going to go through a few that will help you with a few hints and tips, perhaps linked to assessment for learning, supporting you with learning walks, that kind of thing, and generally managing your class. So to that end, I'm going to start at the beginning with an app called Sketch. It's really good for taking images or diagrams or pictures you've taken from your lessons and what have you, and annotating them really easily. So you can just draw on them and type what you want, like so. It's really easy to use, and then you can then save those images and use them in other applications. Or those annotated images could just be given to your students as a resource, or you could put them into a presentation or a PDF that you're going to give to your students, whatever. But something that's a little bit more jazzy than that and the students can take away and gives you the opportunity to speak your voice as well is this app here called Explain Everything. Now, Explain Everything is a bit like a whiteboard that you can talk over whilst recording what you're doing. So here again we've got the product life cycle, and if I tap record down the bottom, I can talk over the top of my presentation, and that can be then saved and uploaded to YouTube or shared with students across your VLE or your network, or however you want to pass it on to them. So here we go, really easily, you just tap record. So I want to talk with you about the product life cycle, and what I'd like to say is there are different phases within the product life cycle. So we start off with the introduction phase, we move to growth, maturity and decline. Now if we think about that, when we get into the decline phase over here, you know, we're starting to lose sales, so we might want to try and reintroduce another product about here, and what will happen is that will help offset the, you get the idea. We can then play that back. So I want to talk with you about the product life cycle. It's really good, and you can upload that, like I said, to anywhere that you want to. Other ways that you can get resources across to your students in interesting ways that are really easy to do on the iPad is through the use of Imovie. And there you can take things that you've made in Sketch or Explain Everything videos. You can even use the iCab mobile app that you can see here to download YouTube videos straight to your iPad as well. So what I've done in Imovie, just to demonstrate, is I've taken some photos, I've taken the product lifecycle diagram there, I've got a video from YouTube that I've taken and I've narrated it over the top. So if I just hit the play button, the product lifecycle shows the different stages. You get the idea, and you can then save that and send it off to your students however you want to. Another really cool app that enables you to create resources for your students is one called Comic Life, and I like Comic Life a lot because students like comics, and obviously if they're interested in what they're looking at, they'll want to learn more and they'll use it more as a resource. And certainly thank you to Amy Horton for this one here. This is Coastal Erosion's revision tool for geography there, look, and we can make really interesting, innovative, eye-catching presentations, resources using Comic Life. Very easy to do that. The final resource maker that I'm going to go through with you is this one here called Videoscribe. Now you may have seen the RSA animate videos. You can now make these using your iPad really simply. Here's one I made earlier. Now this one I made literally within half an hour of purchasing the app. Very simple to use and exceedingly effective. it looks awesome, and really does engage with students and any audience for that matter. But as with all of these things, the more we use them, the less impact they have. So overuse isn't always going to be the best thing. Use them sparingly. Moving on, Air Presenter. One of the great uses of iPad in the classroom, particularly if you're a teacher and you've only got the one, is if you can connect it to your projector using Apple TV or Reflections. Now what Air Presenter does is allows you to project whatever your camera on your iPad is seeing onto your screen, but with the added benefit of being able to annotate it. So imagine you're an art teacher and you want to demonstrate to your whole class a micro skill. Historically, you'd have had 20 plus students crowding around you trying to see what you're doing, what you're drawing. Well, with the iPad, you can have one student showing that on the big projection screen, okay, and annotating it and taking photographs of the different stages throughout that process, which can be saved direct to a live gallery, and all those things could then be shared back to the students afterwards. Alternatively, if you didn't want to do that, you could just come out, use the camera app and record it as a video, then add that video into Imovie, annotate it, talk over it, narrate it, all sorts. Lots of opportunities using video and photographs, particularly when you have access to projecting in your room via Apple TV or Reflections. The next two, Socrative apps, student and teacher, are really good for assessment for learning. The next one I'm going to show you though is Tapforms HD. Now Tapforms is, I find it really helpful. It is a database package, but I can use it in my lessons or on a learning walk, as you can see here. And as I move around the room, I can be recording information into fields. But what's particularly powerful, I think, is the fact that you can actually have a field where you can do drawings, you can take photographs from the lesson, and you can also record conversations that you have with people. So you can have all of that in one record, and if you want to be doing anything where you want to look back at it or share this sort of thing with things with colleagues, or if you're a senior leader and you're doing lesson observations, it's really powerful if you've just got that one iPad. The last one we can see here is called Time. It's a bit geeky, I know, but it's a Star Trek pad, and on there you've got different timings. You can set countdown timers or alarms for different time slots during your lesson, and just have that projected on your screen, or you're held in your hand as you walk around the room, or you can give it to a student who can keep an eye on the time. Teachers often talk too long. Jim Smith, the lazy teacher, says about a student keeping an eye on the time and only letting the teacher talk for a maximum of 12 minutes per lesson. Why don't you try it? That's all I've got time for. Thank you again to John Tate. I hope you get lots out of your time here at TeachMeet Woodham tonight. My name's Mark Anderson. You can catch me on Twitter as @ICTEvangelist. And if you want more hints and tips on how you can use technology to support you in your lessons, please check out my blog at ictevangelist.com. Cheers!